Welcome back, fellas.
Hello, mystery
Shut
guest.
up, Kevin. Welcome back, fellas.
James
that
is
was
in a
rude.
singing mood when he intros
That's true.
the episodes that he's on. The episodes that he's
Always.
not on, he doesn't sing.
That was so fucking
Yeah.
passive aggressive. He's in a singing mood when he
I can't believe
shows
James
up.
missed an episode.
And I'm like, listen, okay, I'm trying to finish grad school here, and your boy doesn't have a ton of free time, but we're here this episode, and we're excited because we got to take a look at the movie All the Old Knives. It's an Amazon exclusive about two CIA agents and ex-lovers, Chris Pine and I literally looked up how to say this. No!
I knew that you were going to struggle with this one. There's a lot of tough names in this one.
Is it? I know it's a
Girl
hard
from-
T. It's Todd.
I don't know how to say her name. I only know her from Westworld.
I'm literally gonna just look it up again. Two CIA agents and ex-lovers, Chris Pine, and I cannot believe myself. I literally cannot believe myself.
You just spent so much time
And Tandiwe Newton.
looking up Tandiwe Newton's name, and then you said Chris Pine.
Shut up, Kevin. Chris Pine and Tandiwe Newton are brought back together after years, after a failed rescue attempt, and forced to blur the lines between profession and passion in this deep, riveting tale of global espionage, moral dilemma, and deadly betrayal. Stop laughing at me, Kevin. Chris Pine. Oh my Lanta.
I couldn't have written a funnier joke. That's so funny.
All right. Well, this movie has a star-studded cast of Chris Pine, Tandiwe Newton, Lawrence Fishburne, Jonathan Pierce, and many others. It's a kind of, I would say, like crime espionage thriller movie. Overall,
Take the
I think it's a little
It's got a
suspenseful.
thriller aspect
Got
to
some.
it, yeah.
There's some thrill, brother. There's some thrill. It's about an hour 41 runtime, so not super long. But I think we're gonna roll right into first reactions. But actually, before we do, I want to encourage everyone that's listening to subscribe to us on YouTube. We're trying to grow our base on there. We really appreciate it. In addition, we got Flix Fellas merch, fam. If you go to our Patreon and you subscribe to the highest tier, there's an incremental benefit. There's more details on our website and on our Patreon, but you can get a cup, you can get sticker, you can get T-shirt, you can get long sleeve T-shirt. It's hype. Go check it out. It's really, really awesome. But yeah, go check it out on Patreon. Flixfellas at Patreon. But for first reactions, let's start with our boy Joseph. Joseph.
Hello. How are you all? I really liked this one. I thought it was intriguing and interesting, good story. I like that it was a fictional terrorist plot because I feel like this could have been easily done as like a 9/11 movie, and like we all kind of know how things ended. So because it was fictional, like I mean, I'm assuming it was fictional. Never heard of this terrorist attack that happened, but it was like intriguing because it like you don't know how it's going to end, and you don't know what's going to happen and who the bad guy is, who the good guys are, what all the intrigue is. Like I do think there's a thriller aspect to it, like you said, because there's so much hype in the beginning of this of like what happened on flight 217. Is it 217?
Yeah, I think so.
And
What was it?
It could be 267.
Kev, what is it?
I thought it was two.
You keep
two,
going, Joey.
one,
I'll Google it.
Yeah,
Or one,
Well,
two.
I think it was flight
who
2.
cares?
Maybe it was one something. I don't know. But because it was fictional, there's no real like, oh, I remember living through that. I know what happened. I remember these bad guys. Like that is a good aspect of like fictionalized terrorism. In movies. In movies.
That is a good aspect of fictionalized terrorism. We need that on a T-shirt on the
Yikes,
new
Joey.
Flix
Not actual, but yes.
We do not support terrorism, okay?
No.
Um,
It's flight 127.
127, okay. So I thought it was interesting. However, I do have a few gripes with the story. with the plot. That at first I was like, they're minuscule, they're minor, and now I'm like looking back at my notes and I'm like, I don't know, it kind of like changes it out, like watching the movie now 24 hours later, like how I feel. So I think I think I know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna hold off until I hear what you guys say and see if you persuade me one way or the other.
Get him, Kevin.
This was a very, as the kids are saying, mid movie. I don't know. I like Chris Pine, Tandiwe. That's how you say it, Newton. I like her. I liked her in Westworld. But like nothing really stood out to me about this movie. The twist, which we won't get into, but like obviously you go into these spy movies knowing like there's gonna be a twist somewhere, and it was a little predictable. It was slow. The pacing wasn't that great.
I think I want to cut you off real quick on the pacing, because I agree that yeah, I don't care. It's first reactions. It's
Screw you and your first reactions.
The pacing was, yes, I agree, a little bit slow, but because it's told over almost like 3 different timelines of history, I do think they do a good job of like cutting and going back before it loses you. You know what I mean? Like usually there's movies where it's like they spend so much time in the past that you get invested and then they cut and then they bring you back to the present. And you're like, oh shit, like where am I? This did a good job of moving back and forth between them without it being too fast and also without it being too slow. Good pacing.
No, but I think the argument to that is like it just wasn't like it was really difficult to follow. And like I know we're stupid, but like a lot of times it was just like I don't know, it was almost too much like where they were cutting and you had to really focus on what time period or what came first. Like some of it wasn't very clear what was happening first, like when they first cut to him and Jonathan Pierce or Price, whatever his name is, the
Yes.
Pope. Like they don't really tell you which one happened first until like 4 scenes later. So you don't know whether he already talked to her or whether he already talked to Jonathan Price. There was like weird stuff like that throughout. And that other point I was going to make on my first reactions is obviously this is nonlinear storytelling. And I don't think it was a good use of nonlinear storytelling. Like, it wasn't an interesting. Like, I feel like if you're gonna pull that card of like doing something like that type of storytelling, which one is really hard in general, I'm sure, and 2 like is really like an interesting way to tell the story. You have to do it in an interesting way, like a la Memento or Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind or 100 or 500 Days of Summer, like something like that, where they use that creatively. This was just like, we're gonna tell this story from 3 different times, and it's not gonna be super clear, and then we're gonna wrap it all up at the end with a twist. Like it was very generic spy movie, and like I wasn't excited at all during it. Like I wasn't like, oh
yeah.
like what's gonna happen?
Before you
For
go
my
to James,
first
I just want to,
reactions. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to like. They do a good job of telling you what timeline everyone is. They say, okay, in Vienna it's 2012, in California it's 2020.
That's the only
but
time
then when
card
they
you
say
get.
London, it's like they give you 3 very specific destinations, like unique looks and feel to each place that you know at the time. Like you don't need to question. Like they know that they talk to the Pope. What's Jonathan Price, right? Before, is it him?
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 weeks before he goes to California. So once you just know.
Yeah, but you don't know that until like later in their conversation when the Pope is like,
No,
he's coming to talk to
they
you.
show it. It says 2 weeks earlier in the beginning. So once you figure out those,
Oh, maybe I missed
once you
that
figure out
timestamp.
those, like, put those places with those times, it is, I think, easy to track kind of like
Yeah. It definitely
where
seems
they
like
are in time and space.
Yeah, but still, the overarching story like was super like they didn't take any time to explain the politics behind what's going on with the overarching plot, which was like a big frustration for me. Was like there was no I guess exposition, or like there was no explanation for like who this cell is,
do
or because
explain
they start talking about like, is there another cell? And you're like, what's the first cell? And like, give me a little background behind each character. Like,
No,
they
no, no.
just
They
set
literally
these
did it.
names,
Dude,
and
they
then
literally
let you
did a
assume.
sequence where they're like, explain to me the team. And then they literally went person by person and explained the whole team. That literally
No, he's
happened.
talking about
No,
the
not
cells,
them.
the
The
terrorist
bad
cells.
guys.
The bad
I'm
guys
talking
aren't
about
that
the
important.
bad guys.
There's only
not
one bad
the,
guy that's
the
important.
Okay.
They are, but
Alright,
they are.
regardless,
That's
I-
the interesting
let's-
part. Is like how everything
think
is
we
working
I
talked-
will
we
agree
talked
with you
about
that
this.
there's some plot holes there, but
Yeah.
let James finish his
Yeah,
first reactions
let's do
before
first
we
reactions,
spoil.
and then we got it. We'll get into.
Oh, Kevin's making some good points. Let's move on to
Before
someone
I
else.
absolutely
Fuck
give
you
you a
guys.
smackdown. We're gonna we're gonna finish first reactions. All right, so first reactions. Overall, I thought it was really good. I think the actual depth of the plot was very entertaining. They did a good job of kind of stringing you along. I didn't think. I don't want to really talk about the twist. I will say there's elements of the twist that I thought were predictable, but there's elements that I didn't think were predictable. And I thought it felt very genuine and something that like I hadn't seen recently in movies. So this is I think it's a very good watch, especially for the time. It's like a little more than an hour and a half. It gets the story done very well. I agree with Joey. It's a unique. It's not just like that's not saying not just a 9/11 film, but they gave you a fake historical event, so you don't know exactly what's going to happen. There were other complicated factors like international struggles and like some espionage struggles, and like that was interesting to see. Overall, I think they did a good job. They told an interesting story, and they did an interesting job of framing it in kind of a love story. And they gave that element to it too, without kind of like beating a dead horse, because it is more like a spy movie than a love story. But it's an interesting way to kind of build this narrative out, I guess. So I thought that was that felt very new to me. So overall, I liked it. But I think there's some differing opinions here. So I think we're gonna.
I was just gonna say this is gonna turn into like a classic episode of Flicks Fellas where James is on one side, I'm on the other. Neither of us are changing our minds, but just right in the middle.
That is true.
Classic episode.
I think Joey's with me, Kevin.
No.
Yeah, that's a classic dilemma on
Yeah,
the show.
I
I think Joey's leaning more towards you, but I think you're both fucking
Just don't look up all
out
over
of your
again.
mind.
Just don't look.
I think we watched different
no,
movies.
this is not nearly
Yeah.
as bad as Don't
This
Look
is
Up.
not as
We,
bad as Don't Look Up, though, because I still think you guys are the dumbest people on the face of the
That's
earth
so
for enjoying
rude.
that movie. But
Okay,
I'm just saying.
I'll start us off. I'm pressing play on this.
Boom, Kevin.
Yeah.
God, so confident.
Wow,
No,
what a
scroll.
weenie. I honestly think Kevin would have pressed play if we weren't so avidly.
No, I swear to God, this movie barely breaks into a 6 out of 10 for me. Like, I'm not
I think-
I'll
wasting
tell
my
you-
time on this movie. There are way better
But-
spy movies to watch than this.
I
Way
think-
more
I think we
entertaining.
might be able to sway you, Kevin, with
I
a
will
little
say
more
this.
discussion.
No, there's
a
literally no
little
sway.
more
I'm the most stubborn man
discussion.
in the world.
I'll
Uh,
say this, Kev. There are better spy movies, but this isn't a movie that you would go like to the. I wouldn't go to the movies to see this. This is the perfect spy movies for a streaming service at home watch. Yes. Yes.
No,
Yes.
no.
I-
Wait,
I
hold
said
on.
it, Kevin.
Time
It's
out. Time
fact.
out. No, it's not.
Kevin.
No,
James?
wait.
Can
you
I
can't
please
say
just
that
give my click
because
player
you're
keep scrolling?
No, you're fucking up the viewers. You're fucking up the viewers because if you say that, they think it's something that you can just turn on and put
You
on
definitely
in the
can't do
background.
that.
No, no,
and you
no.
can
You
just,
definitely
can't
let
do
it play.
that.
But you can't. You have to
definitely
pay
can't.
attention to it, and it's
Okay.
Yeah,
not
but
very
you should pay
entertaining.
attention to movies
Guys,
when you watch them.
guys, we're cutting
Kevin.
down on time on first reactions here.
James, yeah.
Talk about it later. All right, I'm clicking play, obviously. This is a good movie. Kevin's wrong. But we'll talk about it at length in a minute. We appreciate you. Please subscribe to us on YouTube. Please give us a like if you're listening to us on Spotify. 5-star review. Really appreciate it. We'll see you in a sec.